And we're live. Eric, it's on your channel, so you have some explaining to do.
I don't know what happened there. Sorry about the hiccup, y'all. I thought my Ethernet cable came unplugged or something, but no, I think my house just got hit with an EMP, so we're okay.
Yeah, it's all good. So basically, I'm running Eric's channel at the moment.
I know, isn't that terrifying?
So that's a first right now. But don't worry, I'm not going to do anything. But,
I'm absolutely terrified. Well,
it's all good.
Thank you, everyone, for sticking with us. Sorry about the brief hiccup, but we still have a lot to talk about. We've only lost several very valuable minutes, but we're in the middle of talking about Darlington. Darlington was lost. Darren, you were talking about the rookies. Tyler Reddick with an impressive seventh-place run.
I'm telling you, man, these rookies, dude, like they're the real deal, and it's the ones we didn't expect to be the real deal very soon. I mean, all the hype was on Christopher Bell, Cole Custer, those two, because those two are with the best teams out of all of the rookies heading into the 2020 season. So the expectations for some were like, Bell and Custer to the playoffs, no problem. I'm like, no, they're rookies. Let's just wait. Let's just see what happens after the first 9 races of the season to really get a good feel of how they're doing this year. Bell, I don't know what's wrong. I don't know if it's a matter of just him, or if it's a matter of just Leavine Family Racing just not having their stuff together at the moment, because we had Bob Leavine on to kick off season 3, and he was hyping up Christopher Bell as this next big thing, and I still believe he is, but I don't know if it's just a case of just the team just not being where it is, or maybe the driver just maybe putting a little too much pressure on himself out of the gate. I'm not sure. Maybe it's a combination of both. And then for Custer, like, I feel like he's still in that learning phase right now, still trying to get accumulated with, with the power difference, with, a brand new cup team, that sort of thing. So, that's why I didn't really have that, too high of expectations heading into the season. But then when you look at, John Hunter Nemechek and Tyler Reddick doing a whole lot more with very little, now that makes you start to think, like, what's the real problem here? What's the issue?
Yeah, I do think talking about the two rookies that have surprised us, John Hunter and Tyler Reddick, right before we crashed earlier, you were talking about Nemechek putting that 38 car in the top 10, something I don't think any of us expected. No. In a lot of ways, I think that really shows up kind of all the past drivers of front row motorsports. I mean, we knew that they've never had, great drivers in their cars, all-time talents or anything like that, but man, that really, in my opinion, I know Darlington is not the hardest track to drive anymore. It's not with this rules package. I know it's not the hardest track on the circuit. You didn't see that many Darlington stripes like we're used to seeing, but regardless, that was extremely impressive from those rookies. I'm pretty down on Christopher Bell right now because I'm seeing a lot of driver mistakes. He's taken himself out of races at least 2 or 3 times already this year. I think he had once where it was an engine failure, not his fault, but I know he's wrecked at least twice this year. And he dumped Chris Buescher in this race as well, so he was involved in 2 cautions.
And then
he
also spun too, last week.
Yeah, he spun as well. He was involved in 2 incidents in 1 race. So that's not the Christopher Bell I watched in the Xfinity Series for 2 or 3 years or however long it was. We saw he was always very calm, consistent, and was just really, really good. His car obviously is not the class of the field anymore like it was in the Xfinity Series, but I still expect more than 18th place, average running position and then wrecks every other week. That's not Christopher Bell, but I don't know. Jared, Toby, what are y'all's thoughts on these rookies? Who's impressed you the most so far?
I'd say John Hunter Nemechek, just because of the equipment he's in. I know that equipment has run well before. I think the 600 last year was it David Reagan, I think, is sitting in 34 or 38, but he got a top 10, but he was running up there beforehand and had a chance to win, do a little bit of strategy. But also, I have to admit, I'm not as surprised with Tyler Reddick so far. He showed a lot when he was racing Xfinity and really took that an RCR program, which in general, I think our RCR is a little more behind than a lot of people would like to say. And he was running right up there with JRM, Gibbs, any of them. So I'm not as surprised, but it doesn't make it any less impressive what he's doing. But I'd say overall, John Hunter Nemechek is for me the biggest surprise.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I'd say JHN for sure. The thing that I kind of want to look at here, though, is how these guys all got here. So with John Hunter Nemechek and Tyler Reddick, there was pressure all the way up to this point. So even like Reddick had a decent ride at Junior Motorsports, but everybody kind of wrote him off. And then when it comes to a pressure-packed situation, title on line, he gets it done. Next year, gets it done with title on line again. These other guys, they've kind of had an easier path up through there, like the Christopher Bells and Cole Custers. They've had top-tier equipment all the way up. And then when you have a pressure-packed situation for a championship, they kind of don't rise to the occasion, at least the last couple of seasons. I don't think that'll be the case their whole careers, but I think that kind of shows us where these guys are and why these two are surprising and the other ones are kind of falling flat.
That's a really good point. And I saw it was an article, I think it was NBC. I didn't see who posted it, but Matt Kenseth gave Tyler Reddick specifically glowing reviews after just that one race at Darlington. He mentioned last year's race at Homestead and this year's race, both tracks where he kind of wall rided almost the entire night and did it without error, without mistake, as something that stood out to him. And I took that notably, or as notable, just because I don't hear Matt Kenseth say good things about young drivers or really any drivers very often. So that stood out to me, hearing him say it about Tyler Reddick, because you make a good point. Reddick has had to kind of scrap a clay. He's raced for 2 top Xfinity teams, but he's been kind of given up. Hendrick and JRM kind of gave up on him there. I think the entire fan base gave up, or at least didn't give Reddick the credit he deserved until last season with RCR.
Even last year, Eric, to that point, last year the Xfinity ads at the beginning of the year didn't even have Reddick in it.
Oh,
he was the defending champion.
And
that
we
is
didn't
true.
Understand why. We didn't understand why either.
That's a good point, but everyone called his JRM championship a fluke, which it kind of was. He only won, I think, 2 races that year, Daytona and Homestead. So it was a little,
but the second championship validated that one. So
100%. So I just think it's interesting how quickly the narrative around Tyler Reddick has changed. I think a lot of people didn't give him. I don't recall. I know he wasn't my pick to win Rookie of the Year this year. I don't remember if anyone else on this panel picked him, but I don't think anybody did. Largely due to his equipment. I think I don't think anyone doubted that he's a great driver, or at least a very good up and coming driver. But his equipment, I don't think anyone saw being a consistent top 10 or top 12 threat. 2 races this year, he's looked like he's had top 5 speed already. 2 out of the first 5 races. Kind of like John Hunter Nemechek's early success is perhaps a referendum on Michael McDowell, David Reagan, some of the past front row drivers. This doesn't look great for Austin Dillon, in my opinion, when you got this new kid coming on hitting the scene here and is showing up. I mean, Dillon had a good run this week. I think he finished 11th, so it wasn't terrible. But
let me tell you something. Tyler Reddick driving in the Cup Series for RCR is the worst thing for that Austin Dillon ever could have anticipated, because not only do you have a plethora of people who already despise you and just hate your guts because they just feel you just don't deserve to be there, granddaddy's money, that sort of thing. But then, it just gets worse when, your quote unquote rookie teammate is just outperforming you. And it's not even by a little bit. It is like just skyrocket. He's like in another atmosphere while Austin Dillon's just been down here mainly his whole career. And that's kind of unfortunate, just because like when he first started, I was expecting a little bit more. Like, I know they were hyping Austin Dillon up, in the 3, bringing back the legacy, that sort of thing, and then winning the pole in his first race with the team. I get that hype, but looking back, Richard Childress probably should have had a better long-term plan rather than just throwing all of your money at your grandson, because look at the results. Only like a couple wins. And like, I know you have 2 Xfinity championships, and I think that's where maybe Richard Childress probably realized, look, listen, we kind of messed up. Let's start rebuilding for the future. Because now look at RCR. I could see them being the best Chevy team maybe in 10 years, just because of the maybe.
In 10 years. I thought you were talking about like now.
No, in 10 years, just based off of the potential. No way, not now. I mean, you already got Tyler Reddick there. And then looking at the pipeline, let's see. Anthony Alfredo, he's somebody who we've talked to personally, but he doesn't get talked about enough. Because I feel like he's just way better. Yeah, I mean, yeah, exactly. I just feel he's way better than being advertised. And also, one last thing, Brendan Poole, he's also in the rookie class. Go, Brendan Poole. Yeah, just happy to see him back.
I've talked about Brendan Poole enough.
Yeah.
If people are like, because I saw some people asking why I was looking up, behind me have a TV on with FS1 on. So if there's any updates whatsoever, the moment they announce it, we'll be able to announce it. I just wanted to make sure, because I know some people are like, why does Jarrett look like he's spacing out?
So you can hear the breaking news. Breaking news, like live, right on the spot.
Yeah, but click that like button, y'all.
We already got over 500 watching. We've only been on for 14 minutes, so we've almost made up what we had at first. What was the peak before we went off the air, Jarrett?
We were right around 600. It was near 600 when we crashed out, but we're back. I saw really quick before we move on. I do want to address this few super chats we got. Some of them had some funny comments. Tylen's NASCAR review says love all your streams, so appreciate that a ton. Brad Stanley says #Recce Spinhouse, classic nickname, of course. Another one from Tylen's NASCAR review says Eric the Goat. I don't say this to pump up my ego, but thank you for that. Spencer Nowak, I think, says love your content, guys. There we go. Love to see that. Then Nunya Biz says, you guys just Recce Spinhouse the stream, barely made it through the first lap of this stream.
Kind of sorry. Well, actually, you know what? We lasted 14 minutes, so that's about what, like 10 laps probably?
That's 14 laps. I don't know, something like that. We almost made it to the competition caution.
Yeah.
We can consider that the competition caution. I had to check my supplies, make sure I have water. You know, it was that kind of thing. Judson's Racing Network, good to see you. How you guys doing today? I'm doing well.
I'm doing good.
I'm doing good.
Glad I did that little interview spot on his channel too. Young kid.
Deal.
He's a good YouTuber.
One of these days I'll get on there.
Yeah.
And one more from Mr. Ant here. As a JG fan, do you think William Byron will finally have a breakout season? Want to see the 24 successful again?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Look good the other day.
I mean, if that tire doesn't puncture, top 5. I think it's an easy top 5 run for him.
Ender cars will probably have good speed. Well, thank you all for the super chats. We'll continue to kind of read those periodically through the stream as they trickle in. Before we move on from this race at Darlington, we talked about the rookies. Can we talk about the veterans for a second? I am a big Matt Kenseth fan. Everyone knows, but Matt Kenseth, top 10 in his first race in 18 months. Ryan Newman, coming back from injury, finished 15th and actually ran up inside the top 10 before a late loose wheeler. It was a cut tire. I don't remember what caused him to spin out, kind of hurt his track position, but he came back to finish top 15. So how about the veterans with some solid return races? What do you think of that, Jarrett?
That actually was my biggest surprise at the race. The fact that Kenseth was running so well after being gone so long and not in this package ever until that. I think, what did you say? He spent like 15 minutes in the sim.
That's what he said. Now, he might be downplaying it. I don't know.
But he was, he wasn't one of the top 5 guys, but no one expected him to be. I know that a lot of us were expecting him to run between 11th and 20th, which is about what he did. But he really, I mean, he proved once again why he is probably the most underrated great NASCAR driver ever. The dude doesn't get enough, and I'm not saying this because I'm on your channel, Eric. I'm just saying it in general. I believe this. He doesn't get enough love for being a champion and being how consistently good he has been. And once again, this proves it. I mean, I don't care what car you're in. If you haven't driven for a long time, and especially not in the rules package that a lot of these guys have had for a year and a half, and you go and outrun all but 9 of them. I think you finished 10th, right? So all but 9 of them you outrun. That's impressive.
I said he was going to finish 7th. So I was like, okay,
right. You're disappointed.
You got it.
I was like, right on point.
but it was. I'll give it to him. That was something that I didn't see coming. It was the biggest surprise of the race for me, and I was happy because ever since I was at the Martinsville race in 2015, I really like Kenseth a lot. But I like Kenseth in general. But it was really fun to see one of the old guys I grew up with running well, and that was the biggest thing for me of the veterans is Kenseth's run.
Yeah, what I was saying is I did expect him to finish inside the top 10, but I didn't expect him to run inside the top 10. I figured, okay, he'll probably run top 15, top 20, maybe, get a better feel for, this current aero package that he's, has only spent like 15 minutes running, I guess, supposedly. But then when the race actually got going, like, he was competing and fighting to stay inside the top 10. Not like he was trying to get back inside the top 10. Like, he had a top 10 car there too. And maybe even surprised Chip Ganassi a little bit there. And I don't know. I like the 42 now. Before Kenseth came along, there was a lot of questions about the 42s. About if the
commitment.
42, commitment number 1, and then the high pressure situations could the former driver persist and break through. And we were always waiting, but we'll never get a chance to know. But Kenseth, we know, though, is a guaranteed stud, and he's a guaranteed Hall of Famer, that's for sure. So to see him run this well, it gives me a lot of hope to see him make the playoffs for sure, because he does have the waiver. Him and Newman do. I expect this on a maybe this could be a regular basis. I don't know. Maybe we can see this on a regular basis. With the 42 running up front. In the top 10. From time to time, and maybe even Newman too, because Newman was running inside the top 10 for a brief moment until the spin. But yeah,
and his teammate Kurt finished 3rd, so Chip Ganassi has speed. The Chevys had speed this weekend. I think they've figured out the high downforce rules package much better than they had it last year. So I agree. I think Chip Ganassi's scary. I think Matt Kenseth, if there's a chance he points his way in, but he's probably going to need a win. If he gets that win, though, at some point this year, I think he's got as good a shot at winning a title as Larson has the last couple of years. So I think it'll definitely be interesting to watch. For sure. Before we move on entirely from Darlington, from the first race at Darlington, let's talk more big picture.
Toby. Toby, did you have anything to say about that?
Oh, I completely.
I think.
Sorry. Yeah, I just want to make sure. Sorry.
I think with this guy we're talking about here, Kenseth, like you guys have all said, he's pretty much underrated. I don't know why he's so underrated, but he is. And this is going to be the worst you're going to see him run the rest of the season. This is his first time back in. As you kind of saw through the first 3 quarters of the race, it looked like he was just kind of getting his legs back under him, trying to feel things out and not put the car on the wall, which is something he's very good at doing, is feeling things out before kind of going full press towards the end of the race to try to win things, and got the solid top 10. So I think if a top 10 is our low bar for him, I think we're going to see some pretty good things from Matt Kenseth this year.
It wouldn't be.
That was really interesting listening to his radio during the race, because now the PSA, the NASCAR scanner online, is actually free, at least for the next couple months. Yeah. So I was listening to that and listening to his interaction with his crew chief. It was a lot of they were telling him, hey, leaders are running 50% throttle here. Kenseth was completely lifting off the throttle and then getting right back to it. They're like, no, they're just riding at 50% through turns 1 and 2 or something like that. And Kenseth was kind of taking that into account and watching lap times that would improve. So I thought that was conversations I'm not used to hearing a driver and crew chief talk about, like when to lift and things like that. You hear it sometimes, but it was a lot of conversations like that.
It could be hard. I mean, especially if you ran a package for so many years, it can be hard to adapt to certain packages, And
Kenseth did say afterwards that he thought this car was a little easier to drive, is what I heard the quote was. A little easier to drive.
A little easier.
That goes what most people have said.
A little easy for Matt Kenseth is probably really, really easy to him. So I don't know. Expect it from here on out, like Toby just said.
And I saw somebody talking about this in the chat. I know we were still talking about the Darlington race from Sunday, but the one for tonight at least. And I went to check it too. The percentages for rain from for the next couple hours actually have went down. I know it's raining now, but I mean, I can share the screen really quick. I don't know if it'll show up.
Sure. Try it. Yeah.
I'll try it, but I'll show you the one that I use anyway.
Well, that's always good.
AccuWeather here, and this is what we got from.
Wait, hold on. They can't. Hold on. It's showing up. Just let me. Well, actually, no, it's not. It's just a white screen on mine. So it's
of course it isn't.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'll stop sharing and just read it off. So this hour right now, 62 degrees and 66% chance. Then it goes down, it says chance of thunderstorms was 55, then down to 40 from 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. So there's at least a shot.
There's a shot tonight. Better than I think we all thought when we first woke up this morning.
Hey, Eric, Eric, are you still share screening, or somebody
I'm not share screening anymore.
Hold on. It's still showing up as a white screen for some reason.
Oh, really?
I don't know why it is.
Well, what's funny is when he was sharing his screen, I actually saw the screen.
Oh, okay, there we go. Now it's showing up on the stream. It was weird on the stream for a moment. I don't know. It's weird. All right, back to the show.
Yeah. But yeah, so I just wanted to say there's a bit more of a chance. So we do actually watch the chat.
Yeah. Yes.
But yes, there's a better chance at least.
Yeah, keep our fingers crossed. We'll be talking about that race a little bit more later on. Stay tuned for our picks. But before we move on entirely from last Sunday's race at Darlington, let's talk big picture. TV ratings. That was making the rounds. That was the headlines the other day. With this being the first major sport or major sporting event back, not counting some UFC fights. I know there was a pissing match between bull riding and NASCAR. I'm sorry, bull riding fans. I have a lot of respect for it, but it's not a major sport the way NASCAR is. Let's just keep it realistic here. But NASCAR being the first major sport back, I think everyone expected a boost in the ratings. Nobody was quite sure how big that boost would be. But according to estimates, the race on Sunday had 6.32 million viewers on Fox, which has made it the most viewed non-Daytona 500 race since March of 2017, which I thought was pretty remarkable. I did my own little kind of looking around here, and I compared it to a race last May, a year ago, also that was on Fox. That was Talladega, and this year's race saw 40% more live viewers than Talladega did a year ago. And I think that's noteworthy because Talladega is, in my opinion, the most mainstream iconic NASCAR race or track out there. So that's a pretty substantial year-to-year jump. Usually we're talking about 3% up, 5% down, 40% year-to-year. Not entirely shocking, but I'll start with you on this one, Toby. What were your reactions to seeing some of those ratings jumps? Was it higher than you thought, lower than you thought?
Well, so I think it was actually really good. I've seen a lot of people kind of saying it wasn't what they were expecting, and they were expecting a lot more, but we kind of have to temper our expectations in this day and age with all the Netflix options, Hulu, all this other stuff that people have to watch from, YouTube being another thing as well. But yeah, no, I think this was a huge gain. I mean, if it's the best NASCAR race that's not a Daytona 500 since March of 2017, that's pretty dang good. And it really wasn't far off the Daytona 500 this year. So I feel it's pretty solid. I think it's a win for NASCAR as far as the ratings go. And I don't really understand some of the negative response we were seeing. I don't know what people were expecting, but
they were expecting it like I expected much higher. What? We were the most watched sport in America over the weekend. Take the W.
Yeah.
just
how much higher do you want it to be? There are still going to be people that don't like NASCAR regardless that aren't going to tune in.
Exactly.
There are some people who never watch NASCAR that did tune in on Sunday, and so that was big, and it led to way higher ratings than we're used to having here recently.
Exactly. You can see the glass either half empty or half full. That's your choice, really.
And at first, I was like, oh, I thought it'd be higher, but then like the more looking into it, that 40%, Eric, that you'd said from Talladega, that's actually really comparable to what the NFL draft did for their year-to-year ratings, where I think they went up 46 or 47% from last year. And then you also look, and the race beat out the finale of The Last Dance too, which has been like a nationwide event.
I was surprised by that, honestly. I was just about to say I was surprised NASCAR beat that out, just because like even me and Jarrett, like we talk about The Last Dance like all the time, and then like me and my roommate talk about it too. Like I mean, just everyone in the country was watching it, and that particular night, it being the final two parts, I was thinking, oh, okay, well, it's probably gonna get its biggest turnout, and even probably more so than NASCAR, because I mean, I know NASCAR is a sport, but let's be honest here. Obviously, the ball sports are obviously going to get the main coverage. They're going to get more covered, more talked about. That's just the way it is. That's just the way it is in this country.
I'll make a bold statement here in prediction, and it could go wrong. It could go right. But I think rain out of the question. I do think that the Coke 600 will be higher.
Yeah. Because
that's a bigger race. It's always a bigger uptick from other races around it in March or in May, I should say. And I'm stuck at the start of quarantine. And but it's usually up from those. It's a main event, and it's going to be the only big event that day because there's not going to be any other form of racing on Memorial Day weekend that's like IndyCar F1 style big. So there's no Indy 500. There's no Monaco. It's just the 600 that day. And Memorial Day being the next day, probably more people have that day off, so more people will be able to watch, I'm assuming, hopefully. I do think it'll be I think it'll be above this one.
Yeah, I wouldn't call that like a hot take though. I feel like it's just logic. That's just a logic like.
Well, there could be a drop. There could be.
I initially, when you first said it, I was like, I'm a little skeptical. I figured it would be similar, maybe a little down from this last weekend's race. But you make a good point there. I didn't think about with Indy being postponed and Monaco being postponed. You're right. All motorsports fans who are used to circling Memorial Day on their little one-a-day calendars every year, however it works, they're going to flip up to this day and see NASCAR as the only thing on the schedule. I think you're right. And with it being Memorial Day and the fact that this race has, the thing with this Darlington race is this Darlington race the other day was not on the schedule until like 2 weeks beforehand. This Coke 600 has been May 24th since last year. So that this has had a lot more time. It's been a lot more consistent. I think a lot more people are expecting it than maybe you were expecting Darlington. So I think you actually make a good point there. I wouldn't be shocked if it's a little bit higher, even though it's the kind of the second race back.
I'm very intrigued to see the ratings for the month of June when we go to, different tracks again, not just the same track, same week, every race, every day, that type of thing.
I'm interested in Talladega.
I am. I'm very interested in, Talladega, Martinsville. I'm really interested to see, the ratings for those because we're going to be racing at Darlington and Charlotte for the foreseeable future here for a little bit. So I'm really interested to see if, we're going to get a bunch of people, we're going to bring a bunch of new fans in, and then they're going to stay, and hopefully they'll see the other racetracks we have to offer, and they'll be like, okay, I definitely have to start watching. And oh my goodness, a $40 super chat from Roger. Is that Roger? That is Roger.
Roger Kramer. I believe I'm saying that right. Hey, Eric, been watching you for about a year. Talk to you at Homestead. Keep up with the daily updates and news. Well, thank you,
thanks,
Roger.
Man.
Thank
Appreciate
you for the huge super chat. Yeah, that means a lot. Oh, my goodness.
Appreciate it.
Really quick, I guess I'll touch on the other super chats we've gotten really quick. GN says, I think NASCAR making front page news on the newspaper for positive reasons was just as impressive as the T-rating ratings this past weekend.
Wall Street Journal. That's cool.
Yeah, it was on the Wall Street Journal. It was on everything. I mean, it was NASCAR put out a cool post on their Instagram. It was like a collage of all the newspaper headlines. I thought that was kind of neat. Mr. Antient says, how many top fives do you see Kenseth finishing season with? I say 8.
I'll say 6. 5 to 6.
I think 8's a good number. I think you could do like 7 over under. I would go 7 to 8. I think that sounds realistic.
Just knowing Matt Kenseth, he'll accumulate so many top 10s that he'll just forget about the top 5. You know
I think his top 10 numbers will be pretty high. I think top 5s will go up as the year goes on, though.
Yeah, because that's what he does. Kenseth always, that's what he did in 2003 and changed the whole points format. So I kind of blame him for that a little bit. Well, it's not his fault. No, it's not his fault. It's not his fault. He won a championship. It's not his fault.
And then Jake sent a super chat saying, Jimmy's crash had me feeling some physical pain. I honestly, I'm not even a big Jimmy fan, but I was fighting tears.
It was a combination of sadness and funniest because I got to troll Michael again. Oh, that was funny. Michael, he was pissed. He was pissed, man.
I can imagine. Well, it was sad because they were on the broadcast like 3 laps earlier saying like, oh, how great this is that he's leading, might win his first stage.
What? Just bring it right there.
Last lap. The last lap of the stage. It's like like you didn't have to race him.
Well, and the crazy part about it is you didn't even have to even be near him too. You could have just been like 2-3 seconds off. Still probably would have had the lead, no problem. But it's like you said with Christopher Bell, Eric. Mental mistakes. That was a giant mental mistake, but hopefully the only mental mistake from Johnson for a very long time.
I like Cliff Daniels.
But now he's got a really tough path. This next race, starting 37th after that crash at the end of stage 1.
He can do it. He can get a top 10. He's the GOAT.
No, he can. That just really compounds the problem for sure.
Yeah. Yes. Mm-hmm. But I like Cliff Daniels afterwards talking the team up and being encouraging because they did show up with a very fast race car. Jimbo Burrito, before we move on, Jimbo Burrito, one more super chat. Thank you, Jimbo. Hope you all are doing well. Eric, it's your turn to get the money this time. What do you guys think of tonight's forecast in Darlington? Heard it will possibly be rainy tonight. I think it will definitely be rainy tonight, Jimbo Burrito, but we're just talking about some of the updated radar. It looks like there's a maybe slightly better chance than there was when we woke up this morning that racing will happen tonight.
As long as we have the 3-hour window like we just talked about.
There's a possibility of a window where the likelihood of rain is substantially lower, but fingers crossed. Might be a race to halfway. Might not start exactly on time, but we'll get to that.
Better than nothing. It's better
later in the show. So. Definitely. So I know you have a lightning round, Jared. I don't want to completely walk over topics you had. We didn't really tag or relay our topics list together before we went live, so I don't want to step on anything, but I was going to talk about Alex Bowman next, since that's something that happened since last week's show happened before the weekend.
And then after that I can see, we can look at what some people thought about the race too.
The poll, the famous Jarrett poll. Yes, and new record, right? New record.
I think, let me pull it up.
We can do that first, actually. Here, we can pull that up first since it's more on topic with what we were just discussing.
Hopefully, it'll show up though.
It's probably not gonna, but I can still read it off.
Just read it, yeah.
So we broke the record by a ton this week. The record for votes was around 4,500. We got 5.3 thousand votes.
They just completely shattered it.
Well done.
Like it.
And so 29% of you thought it was great, 57 thought it was good, 10 average, 2 below average, and only 1% of you thought it was bad, which is the lowest it's been in this season for bad.
Optimists.
Net negative of 3%, net positive of, I believe, 86%. And that leaves 10 of you being like me, a milquetoast fence sitter.
Wait, the net positive was 86?
Yeah.
Is that a record? Is that a record? I see. No, I always forget. I always forget the records all the time. Like when it comes to the polls.
I'll read a couple of comments. I won't stay on it too long because we got a ton of stuff, like Eric was alluding to, that we're going to talk about. But the top comment was from NASCAR 48 fan. I'm not shocked. Sad to see Jimmy get wrecked, and he was so close to winning stage 1. I know he was not even half a lap away, man. Carnation, shout out to Blue Emu. The sign being the ultimate villain of the race.
Hey, that was the new Darlington stripe. The blue emu stripe. Yeah,
the blue emu cape.
Stripe or cape or whatever.
My grandpa and I were talking about that as we watched it. We're like, why would you put a sign that's like that instead of painting it on a track where they continuously hit the wall over and over again?
That was poor thinking.
Let's see. I'm just trying to scroll through. There was a lot of extra comments. I know that Danny left a comment, so I want to get him in there too. Luke Swan said, I came in zooming like a bullet for the chat, just as fast as that 4-car. Heck yeah. Hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
Of course, we have lyrics. So lyrics for King for a Day by Green Day. I haven't heard of that. That must have been one of the new ones.
Yeah, probably. A little bit over your time, right? Like you don't really listen to him like nowadays.
I don't listen to him as much anymore. I still listen to like 2009 on back. Oh, here's Danny. Major 2020 daily holiday calendar. Oh, and you have to think for holiday calendars and how.
Wait, in the chat?
Yeah, we have a lot of holidays. Jesus.
You left the holiday holiday counters in the chat.
Yeah. Let's see what we got as our last comment of the poll, and then we'll move on from there. NASCAR podcast mod said bad because Harvick won.
Ooh, I like the scheme. Ooh, I like the scheme that Danny showed us in the chat. Ooh, I like that.
But yeah, so thank you guys for voting in the poll. That was really awesome.
Yeah, that's cool. New record. New record for number of votes at least. So that's awesome. Hopefully, you can break that this Sunday. Probably could. I can see that.
Let's do it.
Yeah, let's do it. All right.
Jewel this weekend.
Is it time for the lightning round?
Do we want to talk about Alex Bowman
first?
That's
right.
Yes.
That's right.
I figured this would be a little bit more to discuss. So before this whole weekend got rolling, Alex Bowman signed a 1-year extension with Hendrick Motorsports. So he is now locked up with that team through the end of 2021. I thought it was interesting. They didn't announce any particular sponsorship with it. We all assume he'll still be in the 88, but with other free agent questions around there's questions about whether he'll change numbers. I've seen some people throwing those rumors around, but all we know is now he is locked up with that team for the next 18 months or so. I'll start with you, Jarrett. What was your takeaway when you saw the news? Were you surprised? What do you think this means for that team going forward?
I sometimes unnecessarily and sometimes necessarily like to look between the lines. And one of the things I know we talked about when we talked about contract extensions for him is that driving wise, he deserves it. He's done really well. He's way better than that 88 team was, 2016, 2017, 2018. He's really coming into his own. So the driving part was never in question. It was always a sponsorship. So like me always wanting to read between the lines a little bit with it. I think this shows that, one, the confidence is there from Hendrick, but two, that there's probably more sponsorship stuff than we're being let on right now. It's just that they have to keep it under wraps behind the scenes. So at least for the next year, it sounds like the 88 should be a fully to almost completely fully funded car, which is good if they're going to keep him like that. And I'm just not surprised. I'm happy because Bowman right now, in my opinion, is one of the younger, newer drivers who is really starting to show his personality a lot more. He's really a lot funnier than people have given him credit for. Yeah. Danny was ahead of all of us on this because we were like, "Oh, why would you like Bowman?" It's just he's in the 80.
Why? But it's
like he's a likable driver. He's doing really, really well, and I mean, I think he's the only person right now who has consistently been as fast as Kevin Harvick, which is an accomplishment to say the least. So, my reaction is I'm happy and I'm kind of relieved because I want to see him in that car for a while.
Alex Bowman, I mean, he's, like you just said, his personality wasn't known, and mainly to do with the shadow he had to replace. Actually, I mean, when he first came in, I mean, replacing Junior isn't the easiest thing in the world, but he's done a very good job in replacing him. 2018, it was a bit rough just because, the direction of Hendrick as a whole, nobody really knew like where they were going to go. And looking back, they were obviously in a very transitional period. Like it was so obvious. And then 2019 comes, they do, a little bit better, still have some improvements to make, but a lot better entering this season. And now they're to the point where they can just flourish. And Alex Bowman is one of those drivers that can flourish. I did say last week though, I did feel that just a 1-year extension to me, I personally would have preferred like maybe a 2-year extension just because I think he deserves that much, I believe. Like, I don't know, I kind of look at just 1-year extensions as like the same as like, 1-year deals in football or basketball. Like there's not a whole lot of faith there yet, but like Jarrett just said, when you look at, all the sponsorship things that are, going into it, maybe just the 1-year extension was probably the best thing at the moment, because right now it gives them more time to kind of buy their time and, get more sponsors. And then the next season, when you do come back to the negotiating table, you can make a stronger case, because you have more sponsors and maybe get a better deal. But I mean, right now, at the very end of the day, Alex Bowman just needs to focus on performance stuff. I feel like the way he's performing, Hendrick will definitely go out for him and try and find sponsors for him. He will definitely put in all of his resources to try and make sure he has full-time funding in the future.
Yeah, I think it's kind of comical that the guy that we were talking about at the beginning of the season from Hendrick that didn't have sponsorship and was possibly on his way out is the guy who's now their best shoe, it looks like, in Alex Bowman. So it's been pretty interesting to see things change around like that. But yeah, so as far as football and stuff goes, you have a great season, you have a great game or something like that, you can get a 5-year contract easy because you don't have to worry about the sponsorship. Right. And that is the bummer about the racing industry, and especially the way things have been the last few years with some guys bringing sponsorship that some people don't necessarily think deserve to be where they're at. But I mean, that's just the nature of the business right now. But it has been awesome to see the amazing turnaround from Alex Bowman and just how assertive he's been early on in this 2020 season.
Yeah, he probably heard all of the negativity and was like, screw you guys. I'll just prove you guys out. I'll just prove you guys wrong. And he has.
Flipped the switch just like that.
Completely flipped the switch, man. Entirely.
He even won an iRacing event in there.
Exactly.
That's what brought him out.
Yeah, that's what it's all about. That's what got him the extension, right? The Proventation series, not the.
Also, I noticed that Matt Tucker noticed my doors back here are open, so that's good.
Yeah, see, we have a very interesting chat. They kind of point out the little details all the time.
You have a small like green screen. It looks like over your left shoulder.
Yeah.
Don't know what that's. That's funny. Alex Bowman, though, yeah, he's. I think the 1-year deal is probably sponsorship more than anything. I think it's just hard to lock anyone in. I think even Kyle Busch, was it last year? I think he signed like a 3-year extension. I mean, you're talking about arguably best driver in the sport, reliable sponsorship.
That's
3
fair.
years.
I mean, that's fair. I mean, it could be higher. It could have been higher.
You compare it to like baseball, which I know baseball is an outlier, but baseball, they get like 11-year contracts.
Yeah.
Like,
or like NFL, NBA, 5-year, 4-year max, that sort of thing. Why doesn't NASCAR like release contract details? I've never gotten.
I guess because the teams are all private. Like technically, the teams aren't owned by.
That would be like so much more exciting to me to release.
It
deals
would,
because I mean, think about it. NBA, like Kevin Durant. Oh my God, he just signed the max. 5 years, something with the Nets.
Like,
you know what I mean? Like
you think other sports, like Kevin Durant hates talking about his contract, and I think drivers, like if NASCAR teams don't have to create that unnecessary distraction for themselves, I think they're just like, we won't, all it does is give us things to,
that's a choice.
Us to talk about.
Choice because like if they did, we can kind of sort of just start critiquing deals now, like, oh, we could have been better, like that's.
We had this debate a while back about like should they, shouldn't they, and I know I'm still on they shouldn't put it out there just because like we already have enough trouble with getting financial backing already with teams and drivers. And I know that drivers say they wouldn't, but I think if stuff keeps getting pushed publicly like that and you start getting more pressure and media coverage on it, I just think it's going to start forcing people to have to pay more. And then the way that these teams and the structure is right now, I really don't think they'd want to have to pay an extra, $5 or $6 million a year when they don't have to.
It will, like, those are some good points, but it'll also make it more exciting too. I'm just saying, like, just the
more exciting,
factor,
but that excitement might come at a cost for the sport overall funding wise. And I don't think that.
But how big a cost?
I don't think we should.
How big's the cost? Because like
if teams can't afford multiple drivers and good drivers have to sit out because they're not getting paid enough, I think that's something that we probably don't want right now.
Well, isn't there like a certain standard that certain drivers make? Like, let's say if you race.
But what I'm saying.
Wait, what are you saying though? What are you saying?
What I'm saying is that the prices are going to go up. I mean, you look what goes on in baseball and football. I mean, there's a reason that Kirk Cousins is paid a ton of money even though he doesn't play well, and it's because you see you can see what every single person is making.
Well,
I think that's something that anyone is just naturally going to do. They're going to want more money. Everyone thinks they're the best out there. Like nobody is out there going, I know that I'm the 10th best guy out here, whatever. No, everyone thinks that they're the best and they want to get paid like they're the best. And I don't think that's some type of drama and a type of excitement, that really is going to pay off and give, because right now NASCAR is trying to get new fans. I don't think that's something that's going to draw a bunch of new fans. I don't watch football to go, I wonder how much he'll get paid this year.
But in the offseason, though, makes great offseason talk at least.
Yeah, and at the same time, though, in NASCAR, there's so few people compared to like football. So you have 40 guys at the top series in NASCAR. So you're going to have a guy like Kyle Busch making theoretically $40 million, whatever his deal is. You're not going to have Greg Galding going, hey, I deserve $40 million too because I think I'm the best. It's just not going to happen. No. So I think it would kind of even itself out from that aspect as well.
I
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I saw Kyle in the chat mention there's also no like players union or players association in NASCAR, so there's no like collective bargaining involved with at least as far as the drivers are concerned. I assume that the teams have like the race team alliance, but I'm not sure that's not really their job. That's more about sponsorship and stuff in general, not so much about negotiating contracts.
I'm more so like for them releasing details because just from the outside perspective, and let me tell you a funny story. I was in class. This was like last year before all this stuff went down. So basically what happened was I was talking about NASCAR, how fast they go, why the sport's great. I literally had a girl like sitting right next to me ask me, don't they make like only like 50K, 100K a year though? I'm like, who? Like the top drivers, because it's only driving race cars, right? So like you have some people in this country that think these drivers only make like 50, 100K a year, when in reality, these guys make millions. The top guys make millions and millions of dollars. Not as much as like a Steph Curry or
again, I ask what benefit is that going to be for an outside fan?
No, I'm just saying though, from my perspective, I'm just saying it doesn't have to happen, but it would be nice to see these drivers finally get the recognition. Like, hey, these are top paid athletes, just like
Well, they publish how much the drivers make at the end of the year.
No, they do. They do.
If we're being honest, though, I think honestly, it would actually get more eyeballs on the sport because you don't have. If you tell people, hey, this race is going to pay 12 steak knives, or you say this race is going to pay $5 million, and they're going side by side, which one are you going to watch?
Yeah. I mean, like, there's.
The steak knife thing would be pretty interesting, I guess.
Yeah.
But
they started doing that this year again, releasing the purse amounts for each race. But I don't know if they did it for Daytona. I haven't seen if they've done that for the other ones.
Yeah, and they also haven't released who makes what from that purse, so we don't really know.
It's still very
based on the race team alliance.
In all honesty, when you really think about it, is the sport ready for that sort of thing now? No way. No. Maybe in like the next 20 years, maybe.
If it were the late 90s, early to mid 2000s, I think if the sport is going towards that direction, you can talk about it again. I just think right now it would not be the greatest idea. And
we need to save as much money as possible right now. Everyone does.
and as I have FS1 on just for updates and stuff, I guess there's an old race on right now. So
wait, what year?
It looks like 90s, probably okay. Daytona.
Okay, because they had 97. They had a random race on last night, the 1985 Bristol
Bush race.
I'm like, what? Like, what is
this? It's kind of cool to watch, honestly.
Yeah,
I hadn't seen a whole lot of that. So
I didn't know Ron Bouchard was such a beast in the Bush series, but until he got wrecked, though, that was a bad wreck. If you saw the race history, you understand. But yeah. So that's it.
Before we'll jump into the lightning round next because I have a couple other topics I want to talk about, but you might have them in your lightning round, Jarrett. So I was going to let you go ahead and do that.
Wait, hold up. Did I hear lightning round? Is it lightning round time?
Oh, well, first we have a super chat from Keegan I wanted to briefly address. He says, love the show. I'm listening from work. I wouldn't be surprised to see Harvick and Bowman finish 1-2 again because they are the two hottest drivers.
You're at work? Hey, thanks, man. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for listening at work.
Yeah, appreciate it.
That's really cool.
But yeah, so time for the lightning round, which means if you already watched the show, you already know what's about to come. But we have 800 people watching, so I know some of y'all are watching this for the very first time. Just a fair warning, turn down the mic really quick.
Okay.
And once again, it is time for the lightning round on the NASCAR Weekly Podcast. Jarrett, what do we have on tap today?
All right, just a reminder that we can talk about it after the lightning round too if stuff gets it's something bigger. So just I'm just going to roll through them here. So, of course, the Xfinity race, first off, got rained out. It's going to be on Thursday at noon on FS1. I believe that's noon Eastern. And then also some news that I saw that's not exactly NASCAR related, but I think can be tethered to it a bit. Monaco and the Indy 500/Coke 600 will not be on the same weekend in 2021. Monaco is going to be on May 23rd, whereas the Indy 500 and Coke 600 will be on May 30th. So
I like that better. I like that better, actually.
So... hypothetically,
I mean, I'm just saying.
You could have a driver hypothetically run on all three if they wanted.
Yeah.
The Coke 600 also, once again, is going to be stopped for a moment of remembrance, just like last year and 2009. So that's one. Jimmy Johnson's scheme got released for that race too. Really, really nice. Yeah, simple, plain, but good. Let's see, rolling down here. This one's actually about somebody I know, an Eric Estep being on the top 15 influencers list. So that's pretty cool.
Congrats.
I was just honored to be part of an Adam Bomb tweet from Adam Stern.
You were almost in the top 10. I saw you were almost. In the
I almost
top 10,
edged Samantha Bush out. That would have been pretty cool.
You were so close to being in the top 10. Man. I was
Did you beat Kenny Wallace?
He did.
If I remember it.
He beat Kenny Wallace. He beat Discount Tire too. He's beating these companies, man. I like it.
Another thing really quick is that Kyle Busch and Timmy Hill are actually going to be attempting 7 races in 11 days. So that's going to be pretty cool.
That's cool.
And then the last one, the Whelen Modified Tour events for Martinsville and Iowa, according to Matt Weaver, have been canceled and are rescheduled for 2021, which is the plan. And then there's going to be, according to Bob Pockris, no NASCAR events at Iowa this year. So a little bit of a shorter lightning round because a lot of the stuff is like a lot bigger. I think we could have an entire segment on a lot of the openings that we've been hearing about in different states, which is pretty cool. I guess I could read off the schedule really quick for each series if you want.
Oh no, you were frozen for a little bit. You're fine now. Go ahead.
I'm afraid it was just me.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, that's weird. But I can read off the schedules that got released really quick. Just the ones that released, not the ones we already knew. Cup has Bristol May 31st on FS1, Atlanta June 7th on Fox. June 10th, another Wednesday race at Martinsville, 7 p.m. on FS1. Homestead, June 14th on Fox. And then June 21st, Father's Day, Talladega. There's a small possibility of fans going there. I know they were expressing they wanted that. Xfinity has May 30th at Bristol, June 6th at Atlanta, 13th and 14th at Homestead, 20th at Talladega. And then the trucks have June 6th at Atlanta, Miami June 13th, and ARCA June 20th on at Talladega.
Nice. When'd you say Homestead was again? June 14th, right?
14th, yes.
Okay, so IDK is going to be in the parking lot. I already know that. He's going to be in the parking lot.
Yep.
I know that.
But
for sure.
That's about it.
You can basically listen to it from his house.
Yeah,
he could.
Yeah, he could.
I'm assuming.
Yeah, probably could.
But yeah, that's about all we have for that one. I know I'm a little laggy.
That's quite all right.
It's all good. It's all good. We could hear you the whole time. It's just a little freezy. But anyways, that'll do it for another edition of the NASCAR Lightning Round. I was about to say NASCAR Weekly Podcast, like we're done. Sometimes I just lead myself just into saying something I don't want to say, but it's all good. Anyways, Lightning Round is officially over, and now back to the show.
And we have a super chat from our good friend and usual co-host who's not here, unfortunately, this week. But Danny B sent a super chat, said, "Hello from work. Wish I was with you guys. We wish you were here as well, Danny B.
Miss you.
We'll see you again very soon. Hope you're staying safe out there." Benjamin sent a super chat and said, "Hey, Toby." Wave to Benjamin.
Hey. Yeah. Hi. What's up, man? Hey.
Yeah, Toby. Thanks for being here,
Yeah,
Toby.
Benjamin's a cool guy.
Yeah. We got DJ Curry sent $2 and said, "This is my first time watching #Team48. So definitely a lot of Jimmy fans out there hoping for redemption after Sunday's tragic finish.
Yeah.
But that was a good lightning round. It didn't hit on the couple things I kind of wanted to talk about, so that's good. So there was one, I read an article. I don't know if you guys saw it because I think it was posted in The Athletic, but I read an article yesterday with Bob Leavine from Leavine Family Racing. We talked about that team earlier, but in that article, he said the team's basically facing an uncertain future. I had a couple quotes here. One of his quotes was, "We've been really fighting for our lives, to be perfectly candid." And he also said, "Our goal is we're going to race now. We'll figure out how to make the shortfall this year. But can I continue to do it as we move forward with the bad economy? No." So the future for the 95 team, a little small team from Texas, sounds iffy, largely due to the pandemic and how that's hurt his business, which largely funds his team and all that stuff. But they're new to Toyota, or the second year with Toyota, but this is the most involved they've been with Toyota to this point, and they got a new driver. Like, what is y'all's reaction to hearing that from Bob Leavine?
Well, my first reaction is, I'm not surprised at all, because just take a look back at Furniture Row Racing, and the old alliance they had with Joe Gibbs as well. I mean, they upped the prices on them like that last year by, I want to say, $5-6 million. So it was going to be like what, like 12-13 million a year, something like that. And I'm assuming. Now I'm going to assume that Leavine Family Racing doesn't have nearly those same prices, but you add the pandemic that's going on, racing hasn't happened for a little bit until last Sunday. I'm not surprised either. I mean, especially if you've worked so hard to try and form that alliance up. I mean, think about it. Like, he's probably saved up a ton of money over the past maybe 3 to 4 years just to get to this point. And you head into 2020 with so much expectations that, like, oh, hey, we can maybe make the playoffs, maybe win Rookie of the Year perhaps. And now all of a sudden, we're in, towards the end of May, and now the possibility of possibly shutting down is looming over them. It's definitely a different tune than what we were seeing at the very beginning of the season. So God, I hope he can survive it, just because we've had him on the show. He's such a nice guy too. Hopefully he can survive this.
He's a really cool guy to talk to. He's pretty open about everything. I've talked to him in the garage before. He's a really nice guy. Who would have thought, though, Matt DiBenedetto getting fired might have turned out to be the best thing for his career?
Yeah, perhaps.
If this does go through.
Might be.
Yeah, it sounds from that article, it's very more dependent on the economy right now and the unpredictability around that, because he mentioned, I forget the name of his business, but he owns like a construction company or something like that in Texas. That's what's funded a lot of this for him. And with all the shutdowns and the pandemic and everything like that, his business has taken a huge hit, and that business is largely what funds them. I mean, they get some sponsorship from like Procore and this year from Ream and all the sponsors that Christopher Bell bought. But wasn't it a year or two ago, he kind of pissed some sponsors off by saying that the bill that sponsors were paying only could afford tires or something like that. They were changing his sponsors, saying like, hey, they aren't really giving us much money, so we're kind of screwed. So a lot of it sounds like it comes out of his pocket, and right now his pockets are a little lighter because of things kind of beyond his control. So it does sound like if things turn around, which the states are now opening up, and hopefully the ship starts to righten here a little bit for his sake and for that team's sake, maybe they'll be around next year, because they've definitely made a big investment this season, and it would be a shame to see them go. I cut you off a moment ago, Jared. Sorry about that.
No, don't worry about it. I was just going to add to it, because we all knew going into it that there was going to be some kind of effect this was going to have. Having no races for a while was going to affect people. And then I saw this. I have to admit, I was surprised that Leavine, of all of them, one of the few Toyota teams, would be one of them. But I mean, you saw also, I think at the Xfinity Series, you saw David Starr was out of JD because of losing sponsorship due to this.
Bye, Whataburger. I'll miss you.
So it's not surprising. And I think it's just surprising who it is. But I mean, we knew going into this that there was going to be problems with it. It was inevitable. But I think NASCAR getting back a lot sooner than every other sport, every other major sport, I think is one thing that's really going to help kind of push this problem down and not make it as big as it could have been. If they weren't starting until like July or August, I think we'd see a lot more teams in a lot more trouble and hearing more about this. And they might be in a lot of trouble right now.
I guarantee you there's probably teams more than his right now that are probably struggling.
Definitely.
Yeah, for sure. Just like they're just not, publicly saying it. Only him.
Well, and it's another thing. I love how, every time I've talked to him, he's been really open, whether it's about how much he thinks his Cowboys are better than my Vikings, or how much it is to race each week. He's one of the most honest people in the sport, and that's something I really appreciate about him, because we get a bit of a lens right now into what they're thinking and going through.
No, he's a straight up dude. As long as you're straight up with him, he'll be straight up with you. On the show or just in person, doesn't matter. But like I said, in my take, hopefully he can survive this, because I still think that team has a ton of potential. It's just right now, this is a very unusual situation right now. So you just got to make the best of it. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, bad timing for sure. And kind of going off that, I saw someone mention in the comments, and we almost forgot to talk about it. I passed it up in my notes, but going back one last time to last weekend's race at Darlington, Christopher Bell's team was one of the teams fined for having loose lug nuts at the end of the race. So $10,000 lighter, but also Hamlin, Logano, Kent, and Harvick's teams were found with loose lug nuts. But it's most notable for tonight's race, presumably because Eric Jones' crew chief, Chris Gale, is suspended for race because they had 2 lug nuts loose. And that's, I don't know what the fine is for that. Is that a $10,000 or $50,000 fine for 2?
It's a $20,000.
$20,000.
We won't be having this problem in 2 years. I can guarantee you that. No more lug nut problems for a long time.
You'll find out real fast if you do.
If you end up having problems with the single lug nut come 2022, okay, you should just don't even work. Don't even work for a team anymore. like come on, man. One lug nut, just one lug nut. Yeah, just that's all you have to do in F1 and IndyCar is that. And now in NASCAR, you just do the same thing. That's it. But no, I find it funny. We were just talking about Leavine Family Racing losing money, and then by the way, they got fined $10,000 for a loose. So please, crew chiefs, drivers, stop making the mistakes. Save as much money as possible. Do not get penalized.
Well, I would think this is actually a good time for NASCAR to maybe kind of put a pause to the lug nut fines. Yeah, I understand suspensions and stuff like that, but a fine is kind of excessive, especially with
now. Yeah, especially now.
Especially with the weird financial downturn we're having. Maybe kind of pause those for now.
It's like, hey, NASCAR, I'm struggling for money right now. Oh, we don't care. $10,000.
I just did an interview where I said I might be closing my team down soon, but yeah, sure. Here's my $10,000.
Here's my $10,000. Like, okay, it's fine.
Yeah.
You know what? No, here's a way you get back at them. Send the fines in pennies, all in pennies. That's how you get out.
Like Rusty Wallace, huh?
Yeah, like him. Yeah, exactly. Wait, did he do that? He seriously did that?
Yeah, he did that.
Oh, I didn't know that. I had no clue. That's funny.
I think it was the jumping it wasn't a jumping the start penalty. He did something else and got penalized by NASCAR and sent his whole fine in pennies.
Yeah, just pay him in pennies, man.
Yeah.
Well, before we move on from this topic, we got a super chat. This is sort of in the same vein of conversation from Jeffrey. Thank you for the super chat, Jeffrey. What do you guys think about Nemechek and Reddick compared to the other rookies? Is Custer and Bell overhyped? Also, hey guys, love your work. Well, thank you, Jeffrey.
We kind of talked about that earlier at the start of the show, at the very beginning, before we crashed. Though.
Before our stream crashed, so we can briefly talk about it again. But yeah, Bell and Custer, well, Bell especially off to a rough start this year, but we've been really impressed, I think, with Reddick and Nemechek. Was there anything else y'all wanted to add to that again?
Like I said earlier, Nemechek and Reddick are definitely the class of the bunch. Custer and Bell have some learning to do. But never forget about Brendan Poole, the one and only Brendan Poole. Don't forget about him. He's a rookie. I'm glad he's back.
Brendan Poole is going to be Rookie of the Year. Heard it here first.
John Hunter, Nemechek, Tyler Reddick, really, really good. I do think that people might need to go a little bit easier on some of the rookies just because it's still the Cup Series, and I think we got spoiled, for a lot of years with good rookies. But I have to admit they're not living up to the hype, and I was probably wrong on Christopher Bell being really good right off the bat. But I mean, it is the rookie year. They'll get I think a lot of them will get their footing and be more competitive.
I totally forgot Quinn Houff. That's right, Quinn Houff. We forgot Quinn Houff. He's a rookie.
And actually, if you look at the point standings from this week, Garrett Smithley has also apparently applied officially for Rookie of the Year.
How many rookies do we have? Like 7? We got 7 now. We got 7 rookies. Jeez. We got 7 in the pot now.
The season, like the 06, 07 seasons, they're just rookies galore everywhere.
Oh yeah, it didn't matter if they were good or if they were good or bad. Rookies, they were just everywhere, no matter what, in the same year.
Yeah. Although Christopher Bell did pass David Reagan in the points this week, so that's good.
He did. That's right. But how many races how many races has
one
Reagan
start?
One.
No.
Isn't Kenseth near?
Yeah, he's just a couple points behind him. Yeah.
That's got to sting, man. That's got to sting.
And guys, really quick, just a reminder. I know we're only a few races in, but stop calling Bell a bus, guys. I am not going to make NASCAR bus Christopher Bell. I'm not going to make that. We're only 5
just bad
races
seasons.
In.
Just bad
not
seasons.
even bad seasons. Yeah. We're only 5 races in right now. It's not even bad seasons.
Bad months.
And things can change, guys. So
bad portion of a season.
Bad portion of a season. No, bad. Or how about this? Bad quarters. Bad
horrible 20 minutes.
So yeah,
that's funny.
Yeah.
So, do you want me to bring up the other 2 stories, Eric, or do you have one that you're ready to go with?
I want to just briefly mention this one because I don't think this is one of your 2 stories, but I thought this was interesting. You mentioned earlier, Jarrett, with Talladega being scheduled for June 21st. They're kind of hoping maybe they can get some fans to that race in attendance. What about Indianapolis Motor Speedway? Looked like yesterday. Is that one of your stories? Am I stepping on it?
No. Well, I have a bunch of stuff added to it, so there's there's more I can play off with it.
I'll let you take charge because I don't have that many details, but it looks like they're planning for fans of some capacity for July 4th, right?
Yeah, that's what I saw. I think it was a Stern bomb. It was an atom bomb.
An atom bomb.
Was it the real one or the fake one though?
It was the real one.
I blocked the fake one. I couldn't do it no more.
But yeah, that's Mark Miles was saying that he's optimistic that the Brickyard 400, the NASCAR IndyCar doubleheader, would be able to go with fans, and a good chance of being NASCAR's first race with fans. And then I can add on with some of the other ones as we go. But that one is really interesting because that's one that I had been planning to go to since last year, and so I'm just like, John, let's go, let's do it. I'll be there. I'll park out front. I'll wait in line like it's a concert. But obviously it's hopeful, it's optimistic. There's probably more of a chance we won't, but the fact that we're talking about it is a great step to start with.
I mean, Indianapolis, the reason it makes sense is because it is so huge and it can typically seat like 250, 300,000 people. And so the opportunities to keep fans more spread apart than at other racetracks, say like at a Bristol or a Martinsville where people are right on top of each other, or other tracks like that, it definitely makes Indianapolis one of the more likely options for this to happen. I also think the success of Darlington this past weekend, I think also raised made everyone a little bit more optimistic that fans could be in attendance at some point or another. I mean, you look around the world, you look around even the country, things are starting to open up a little bit faster, for better or for worse. I'm not here to make a judgment on that, but that is just the nature of things. But the signage that I saw Indianapolis installing was, a lot of it was encouraging, everyone has to wear masks, everyone has to be spaced apart, all the typical stuff you would expect to see. But seeing them actually installing some signs, putting some things on the ground, like out by where like the ticket booths and stuff are, makes it sound like they are very optimistic. I doubt they've had any confirmed conversations with NASCAR or IndyCar or the state of Indiana to confirm it's happening, but at least it sounds like they are extremely optimistic. And I do think if there was any track that was going to be able to do it first, Talladega makes sense because it's in Alabama and it's also a big wide open track, but Indianapolis arguably makes more sense just because it is literally the biggest venue in America, I believe.
I don't know. I feel like right now, like, I don't know, like, I'm not entirely sure. Like, I don't think anyone is entirely sure if, by July we'll be ready, but I think the most important thing to have right now is hope. So this gives us a lot of hope towards the future that we can eventually get back to normalcy, going to big races and stuff. And like, especially this one too, the freaking doubleheader that nobody thought was ever going to happen is now finally happening. I guarantee you, like, I can speak for myself. I'll definitely be there. I'll do my best to be out there for that one. Yeah.
I guess I can add a little bit onto that too. There's two other things that were announced. So the Pennsylvania governor had said that NASCAR could race the doubleheader, the 27th and 28th, with no fans, obviously.
Yeah.
If Monroe County enters the yellow phase before then, and then another one is Watkins Glen is cleared to be open. Just run it without fans. So those are two right there. It's like it's good to know there's some stability moving forward. I think a lot of it had to do with NASCAR working with these people, and then they finally on Sunday got to show what they're working with and their protocols in effect. Yeah. I think that's like really it's working, because I noticed like after that, other sports leagues all of a sudden are talking, oh, we might be able to bring it up more, and I'm like, I'm wondering, like they were saying they were all watching, and
yeah,
so I think that's probably what it is. But I mean, it's I like it's a good first step. It having the conversation that we couldn't have a month ago is, in my opinion, something that's I'm really excited about. And if we can go to Indy, I'm going. I can't believe I'm saying that.
That's cool.
When Indy becomes the hottest ticket on the schedule for NASCAR.
Well, no, I was just about to say the attendance, like, it's going to sell out then, right? If that's the case.
They won't sell all the tickets. Yeah.
No.
Well, like, what would you say capacity would be then for that?
Well, if they did them every 3 or 4 seats open and stuff, I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, because you need the distancing still at that point. That's right.
Yeah, probably somewhere between 25.
They'd probably be 25%.
Yeah. I mean, that's better than nothing. That's better than nothing.
Yeah, it'd still be what?
It's more than Darlington could sell out.
Well, actually, it would be better
50,
than this.
60,000.
It would be better than this. So last Sunday there was some soccer match somewhere. It was in some other country. They had like these women mannequins in the seats rather than like just nobody, I guess. So I don't know. I'm
Creepy.
just saying it's a lot better to have real people than just mannequins, I guess.
Didn't Fox say they're going to put virtual fans in the stands during NFL games with fake noise?
But
yeah, I'm still like, yeah. I don't know. I feel
that.
That's a lot different though than the whole mannequin thing though. So I
the
don't know,
mannequin thing's a whole other level.
I don't know, the mannequin thing, that would be kind of interesting, to have mannequins in the seats for one of the races though. That'd be interesting. It'd be kind of weird, but
toss a mannequin onto the track.
That's what I'm saying.
What would be really cool though is if you could put a camera in the mannequin head, so every person could buy a ticket for that seat.
Oh, see, there you go.
You have a virtual view from your actual seat on the track.
NASCAR,
put your VR headset on, sit on your couch, and you just.
If you want to make extra money, if you want to finesse some more money out of people, NASCAR, be my guest. Do your thing. I would
$700 for this virtual experience.
All right, I don't know about all that. I don't know about that.
What do I get? You get to be planted in your seat the whole time.
It's like, do I get to move? Do I get to move around?
You get to be at a sporting event.
It's like no, you only get to see this much, like this way. That's it. You can't move around.
Right. You need to have one of those fancy couches that like vibrate while you're.
Oh yeah, force feedback. Get some force.
Yeah. Okay, and I know we're kind of laughing about, but it would be cool to have different cameras set at different parts of the grandstands, at least for people who bought tickets already. Like, hey, you spent your money. If you don't want a refund, you at least get to see from the stands what it looks like. I don't know the logistics of all of it, but it would be something that if you spent the money already and you haven't gotten your money back, that'd be at least you'd be in some way being able to see it, maybe at a discounted price or something.
I mean, I know other sports like the NBA have experimented with virtual
they have
floor seats.
They have commercials
for like VR stuff. So like, I mean, even if they just said like, hey, it's for $5 you can do this, or even if they made it free and just had Coca-Cola sponsored or something like that, and so just have their little logo in the corner. But yeah, I mean, I feel like all it would take was a 360 camera with internet access and figure it out. But I'm sure that's probably expensive.
Maybe there's more to it.
Fly a drone over, like, hey, then no one said I couldn't.
Yeah, basically.
No, I thought that was cool though, seeing those fans, out. Obviously, they had a TV with them, and so they could watch it or their scanners. But seeing them outside the track at Darlington, I was like, man, how bad you got it? Like, I give them credit, but it's like if you don't have something to listen to or watch the race on, that's like absolute torture to a race fan.
Oh,
like you're right.
Oh, sorry to interrupt you real quick. That's another thing that I forgot to add. There was like some misinformation that I guess somebody reported that for the Darlington race there was like thousands of fans outside and how it was dangerous. There wasn't there were like 5 people. Yeah, exactly. There was only like 5 people or 10 people out there. So I'm like, what? There wasn't.
There's a screen grab that showed like 3 motorhomes spaced out in one of the lots.
But like I was reading the article and it would make you think like, oh, there's over like 1,000 people outside. I'm like, no, that's not.
Mm-hmm. No, there's 1,000 people who live in the town.
Yeah, in the town.
Population of Darlington, 1,000. All right, type your article up.
Exactly. Oh boy. But yeah, no, guys, no more false news like that.
No, before we move on, I'm gonna pull up at least one more time, see what the forecast look like. It's looking like almost that everything's just centering to that 50% mark. So I'll take a 50-50 chance at this point.
Just flip a coin. I'll take it. Really quick, we do have a couple of super chats I want to catch up on before our next topic. Sorry. From, I think, LA, 1769 sent $10. Thank you for that. What's the weather going to be like? Well, we're just kind of talking about that.
Yeah, we're just talking about that, actually.
It's looking a little bit better, but still not great. We'll see.
We just need the window, just halfway. What's halfway in this race?
I don't know.
What's considered
100 laps? It's a shorter race.
It's 500 miles. Wait, it's
500 kilometers.
Oh, 500 kilometers. Sorry, that's right. 500 kilometers. So how many laps is that?
Metric. I think it's like 210. I don't know.
Oh, so then that's like 100 laps.
I'll look it up.
That's like 100 laps.
I don't know.
Racing Reference is my friend right now.
He also asked, did Barstool follow Matty D to Wood Brothers? They keep promoting NASCAR, but IDK who they are involved with, or who they're still involved with. You guys are awesome. Well, thank you. Well, they're now with Boyer, right?
Well, I believe so, and they're just involved with the sport in general.
Really. They do a few things with Haley Deegan now too. They've got a decal on her car too.
Yeah.
So
and expect that partnership to grow as the years go on.
Yeah.
For sure. Then another super chat from C. Costain, I believe is how you say that. I would love to see a lottery for each section. I assume talking about Indianapolis tickets, people, who, I don't know, kind of randomizing it perhaps, but if they do it, they'll probably do it on like a first come, first served basis, or they'll favor the people who've already bought tickets for
I can guarantee you they have a bunch of tickets left over from last year, and they'll probably just like start handing those out and be like, okay, anybody with any sort of ticket from any year can come in. So
the Jimbo Burrito sent $2 and said, Jesus, lots of super chats right now. Well, thank you for contributing to the plague, Jimbo Burrito. We appreciate it. Awesome.
It, and really quick, over 700 people still watching. I think we peaked at what, like
we're over 800 for a little while.
Yeah, 40s.
We started talking about Indianapolis and everybody left because nobody likes NASCAR in Indianapolis.
But make sure to lick the like button, guys. Don't forget.
So I am on Racing Reference right now, and the halfway mark is 200. The full race is 228 laps. So 114 laps would be the halfway mark.
Oh, nice.
Let's do it. Start them now.
So the window's what? You said 3 hours? Something like that?
Well, I'm pulling up it right now, the hourly, and it's 49% all the way down, so just above 50. Okay. But it says currently it's going to stop raining soon, and then not the next hour, chance of thunderstorms around 6, and I assume these are all Eastern time. Mm-hmm. Then 7 and 8, and 7, 8, and up till about 9, there's a 49% chance. So I mean, if it's just scattered showers and stuff, I think we got a shot at least.
Yeah.
That's definitely
it's just interesting to me, the meteorologist that goes, you know what, 49%.
I feel positive, but it's still close.
Yeah, close enough.
I'm not going to quite put 50 because I feel there's a little bit more evidence here that shows it's 49.
Because it's such
a peer reviewed before he publishes it.
I guess I got one other thing to talk about really quick. It's not really something to go too much in depth about, but I want to see what you guys think long term if this would be put into effect in any other capacity other than a pandemic. But Matt Weaver reported that Bristol, Atlanta, Martinsville, and Homestead are not going to have practice for qualifying as well.
Like making that. Oh, I mean, I would love to see.
I don't think they're going to do it every race from now on, but I think if NASCAR is thinking of shortening, like if they're doing a Wednesday night race, they might just be like, run what you brung.
Yeah, like I was about to say the same thing. If the race is on like Wednesday, Thursday night, even like Friday, Cup racing or something like that, like at that point, like don't even, like you don't have to do any of that stuff. Like I always thought like, oh, you always had to qualify and practice. Wait, what?
I see in chat, Dane Delivers Jim Utter put out a tweet from the track that it's drying.
Oh, okay, cool.
I can't see it, but
we can't see the track drying, but thank you, really appreciate it.
Yeah,
but,
it's really nice for him to put that information out there.
But,
thank you.
And I lost my train of thought now. What was I talking about?
You're talking about the fact that if they do like Wednesday, Thursday,
Friday.
Friday.
Okay, yeah. But basically, my point was this whole thing proved that you don't have to do practice or even qualifying. Like you don't have to, but it's preferred if you do, though. Like that's the thing, though. You know, so I feel like for the weekday races, like maybe it'd be kind of cool to experiment with like some of the weekday races in the future to maybe say like, I don't know, to be like, oh, okay, well, we don't have to do qualifying here. We'll just let them race, that sort of thing, and just see what happens. Like for what tracks, maybe start off small, maybe with like maybe some of the short tracks first, and then maybe work your way up. But this isn't something that I don't think should be a common thing, though. Even though I'm suggesting it, like just maybe a fun little thing to do from time to time. That's about.
I think this whole no qualifying, no practice thing though really lends itself to possibly having some surprise winners this season because you're not going to have any teams really kind of trying to hit on the setup before the race, and so it's kind of like we were saying, run what you brought, and you've got these young guys that don't really have any fear, the Reddicks and John Hunter Nemecheks of the world. So I can see some weird, unpredictable winners down the stretch. I know the very first race of this whole scenario had Harvick winning. Yeah, but I could see somebody random popping up in there, or even multiple somebodies.
We could see somebody random tonight. We could see a random winner tonight. You never know. Hell, maybe John Hunter might. So,
and especially the shorter distance too. This is really an Xfinity Series distance. This could be something these guys are used to.
So if John Hunter does end up winning, someone please clip this. So probably not gonna happen, but just in case.
I don't love the idea of no practice, like being a consistent thing, kind of like you said. I mean, I'd be okay with. I mean, it's there's so much on the line. There's so much research and time and stuff that goes into this that to like for no practice, I do think that's just that I don't love that. But I can see practice being shortened. I don't know if we're going to need to see 2 practices in a weekend and qualifying. You could see just 1 happy hour maybe for a lot of races, and especially for midweek races, if that does become a thing beyond this year. Perhaps for those races, they would limit practice, and maybe it would just be qualifying. I'm not a fan of random draws being the norm.
I don't like that.
I want that to be only used for qualifying. I'd like to see actual qualifying happen.
The other thing, though, is without these things going on currently, with these teams currently suffering with their financial problems, you don't have to worry about all these extra tires you have to buy for practices and qualifying and things of that nature.
Yeah, so I definitely don't mind it this year. I just thinking long term because people are saying like, oh, look how fun it was without practice. I'm like, yeah, it was fun, but I don't know if I want to see that every race. I'd like to see a little bit of practice, but that's an interesting debate that'll probably be had for a while now.
Oh, we got another super chat.
Oh, we do. Before we move on, all right, Armand Monsivice. Oh, Armand, thank you for the super chat. Thank you, Armand. Reddick, a playoff contender. Huge fan, guys. Well, thank you. We appreciate the super chat. Thank you for the nice words. I think Reddick's a playoff contender.
Hell yes, the way he's running now. Yes,
they let 16 drivers in. I mean, he's got 50-50 shot.
Yeah.
I mean,
and remember, before he's 22nd, I believe. But remember, before this, he could have had 2 straight top 10 finishes. He was running great at Phoenix before the tire blew.
Yeah.
So
he was running second. Wasn't he running second at Phoenix?
Got up to second.
Yeah,
got up to it.
Oh, that was great. And also in the I am second card nonetheless too. Remember?
Yes,
that's right.
Yeah, that's perfect. But yeah, all right. But yeah, he'll definitely be a playoff contender for sure.
So is that all the news and big topics we've covered for this episode, Jarrett?
So.
It's pretty much just all we have is like just saying what's up next week and picks.
Yeah. So I know the thing is this video is titled Darlington pre-race live stream. We haven't talked much about tonight's race beyond just recently the distance and the weather, of course. But I think now is a good time to just jump into picks for tonight's race. If you guys just want to jump right into that, because we're also going to give you guys some picks for the Coca-Cola 600 scheduled for Sunday afternoon. So we've got a lot of picks to get to.
Have we ever done a double whammy before? We've never done that.
Wow. I don't know. Let's just hope the universe doesn't split in half.
We're double dipping today. Let's go.
We really are. So I don't know who wants to get started. I've settled on my picks right before we went live, so I can't say I put a lot of thought into mine.
I'll go first. Who's gonna suck tonight? The one and only Austin Dillon. You already know what time it is. Not to be mean. I'm just saying though. I'm sorry, Reddick. Like I said in the very very beginning, just keep showing out, and it's gonna continue tonight. So yeah, Austin Dillon.
I should have reminded everyone in the chat. The way we do these is we always go down the line here and each give our guy who we think is going to have an uncharacteristically bad night.
Who's going to suck?
And then the next round is our underdog picks, and then we give you guys our win picks. So yeah, we'll continue with our who's going to suck picks. Who wants to go next?
I can go really quick. I think for this week, who I think is going to be bad is I think Christopher Bell again. He was not up to speed really. Just wasn't doing too hot. As for Charlotte, I think I'm gonna go off on a limb and actually say I think JGR might be a little off. I know that they've hit it the last few times, but they've been a little off this year, especially when they don't get much practice. And we saw Truex the first half of this race at Darlington wasn't too good. So I'm gonna go Coke 600. I'm gonna cheat a little and say JGR. I don't usually do this, so I think I can get a one off here.
Are we doing two at the same time for both the races?
We can.
We can, yeah.
Okay. So, yeah, Austin Dillon's going to suck at Charlotte, too. So, two.
Oh, my God.
All right. Wow. Go ahead, Toby.
Austin Dillon hate.
As far as sucking tonight, I guess I'll go, Corey LaJoie's car was really bad the other night. So I'm gonna say there's going to be some stuff that goes on with the 32 car tonight. Next week, or next race.
Sunday,
whatever day or week we're talking about here. I'll go Christopher Bell again.
Okay. Not too bad. All right, I'll give you guys for Darlington. I'm going to say Logano has a rough night. He had a rough night the other day, or the other Sunday. He did not run well. Penske as a whole dropped out of the top 10 at the end of that race, so a little surprised by that. But I think Logano's they're not going to turn it around tonight. As for the Coca-Cola 600, just making this up right now, I think you actually making a good point, Jared, about Toyotas, about JGR not running super well. I'll go Eric Jones doesn't run great at not Las Vegas. I'm sorry, at Charlotte for the Coke 600.
Mile and a half, man.
Yeah, well, is that the only mile and a half they've been to this year? I guess it is technically. So
yeah, I think so. Yeah.
And JGR wasn't like exceptionally good there. I mean, that was a Hendrick and Penske day more or less.
Oh yeah, that's right. You were there, and we were talking. I'm like, dude, Joe Gibbs sucks so bad.
That was the race they showed up to. Was that the race they showed up to? And like two of their cars failed inspection.
Oh yeah, it was like 2 or 3. Yeah, and then the next week at Fontana, the same thing happened.
Yeah, Truex failed too. Yeah. So yeah, they've been rough on the intermediates to start with this year. So I think JGR sucking next week is a good pick.
Okay, so for next picks, underdog picks, since we are doing the double whammy feature here. For tonight, my underdog pick, I'm going with Christopher Bell. I know we just talked about his performance dipping, but he's got to eventually turn it around, right? So tonight could be the night. So Christopher Bell is my underdog pick for Darlington. For Charlotte, I'm going to go with Corey LaJoie. I know Toby just mentioned the car was just terrible, but I mean, with this package, anything can happen, I mean, we've seen crazier things happen. And if I remember correctly last year, towards the end of the Coca-Cola 600, we had some underdogs in the mix, in the final caution there, setting up for the final restart. I remember David Reagan was up there, I believe.
Well, Corey LaJoie himself finished 11th in the
Yeah, Corey LaJoie, that was his best finish up to that point. I think that still is his best career finish, if I'm not mistaken. Or no, Daytona, 10, Daytona, that's right. Daytona, top 10, that's right. So already upped it. But yeah, Corey LaJoie, that'll be my underdog for the 600, so good luck to him.
I think I saw Darian, you did a clean sweep for the suck pick. I'm going to do a clean sweep for the dark horse pick, underdog pick. So this guy did really, really well at Darlington, exceeded a lot of expectations, and I think he's going to do well again. So I think he'll be around the top 10 again, shorter race, should probably pay, or play in a little bit to his benefit. Now the 600, this guy's team last year was in the top 10 a lot of the race, was really fast, surprisingly fast, was having a shot to win thanks to a bit of strategy at the end. So I'm going to go with John Hunter Nemechek, the rookie. I think that he is going to be the dark horse underdog pick for both of these races. And I wouldn't be surprised if he keeps showing out these next 2 or 3 weeks.
That's not bad. I'm going to go with John Hunter Nemechek as well for this race, just because he's starting 12th. That's a pretty good starting spot, and he looked really, really good in the last race, obviously, as we mentioned. For Coke 600, I think Bubba Wallace. He's been pretty decent this year. RPM was looking a little better before the COVID break.
They were.
I think he snaps together a decent finish in the Coke 600.
You actually stole both of my picks there, Toby. I had Nemechek and Bubba. I'll go and bail on Nemechek just because I don't know. I'm feeling pretty good. No, I don't want to bail on Nemechek, but I'll go with another guy because it was a close second for me. I think Ricky Stenhouse Jr. runs well tonight. Actually, I think
that would be interesting.
Yeah. Wrecking on lap 1, he's obviously going to play it safe early on. But Ryan Preece early on in that top race the other day had top 10 speed in the 37.
And he starts from the pole.
Yeah, and Stenhouse is going to have to come from the back, so I'm not feeling great about those odds. But I do think Stenhouse sneaks out a top 15. I think also the shorter race might play into his strengths. You know, he's a dirt guy, sprint race type guy. I think less chances for him to make a mistake with it being a half the distance almost.
It only took half a lap.
Yeah. Also remember he finished 4th in Las Vegas. I mean, he can run pretty well when he wants to, but I don't know. Just don't wreck lap 1 again, man.
Yeah,
I think after that lap 1 wreck, I think he comes back a lot more collected this time.
He'll come back.
Yeah.
But I like that Bubba pick for Charlotte. He had success. You know, remember the All-Star Open race? Was it last year or the year before? I can't remember now. But, you know, he's had some big moments at that mile and a half specifically with the high downforce package. And so I think that's a good pick.
Right. All right, so are we? Boy, damn, we're down to wiener picks, not winner picks. Wiener picks on the NASCAR Weekly podcast. We're from Minnesota now.
Is that how they say it in Minnesota?
Is it? Wait, is it? Is it? I
don't think it is.
I think I was close. I was really close though, right, Rusty? Let's ask Rusty.
Think you were.
From there.
I don't think you were, Darian. I think you were pretty far off.
I was way off. I know. I'm sorry.
Oh, you
guys.
betcha.
All right, but anyway, that was perfect right there. That was perfect. All right, but now here we go. Wiener picks. So for tonight, we are only running 200 laps, correct? Only
228.
228.
Or 228. 228. Okay.
Race to 114.
All right. So race to 114. Really, when I see only 228 laps in a race, like I automatically think of like Xfinity racing just because of like the shorter racing and stuff. Like that might not be entirely the distance they would run, but it's somewhat similar. And I'm looking towards a lot of the younger drivers, you know, who have recently came in because I feel like tonight's race could be sort of an advantage too. I mean, think about it. Xfinity Series, I mean, yeah, you do have the stages, but, you know, a lot shorter racing and, you know, obviously the drivers are going to drive a whole lot harder and faster, you know, in a shorter span of time. So maybe some of these guys might, you know, outshow some of these regular Cup guys that are used to pacing, you know, keeping some sort of a long race pace, that sort of thing. So we'll see who can adapt. My winner for Darlington, and this is gonna sound crazy depending on, you know, who you're rooting for. I'll go with one of the rookies tonight. Tyler Reddick will get his first career win tonight. And honestly, that might come as a surprise to some of y'all, but I mean, the way he's running, I know he's 22nd in the standings, but to me, he's already a playoff contender. He's already shown to me in the first 5 races, like, okay, this is going to consistently be the pace he will run all season, hopefully. But yeah, Tyler Reddick, that is my pick for tonight. Now for Charlotte, though, no rookie is going to win that race. No, a veteran, of course. Martin Truex Jr., I can see him winning that one again. Won last year's in spectacular fashion. Really, 2016, 2017, and then last year. He's just been running up front there. He's been solid. So, yeah, I could see MTJ getting his first win of 2020. Oh, holy crap, that dog scared me for a little bit. But no, kind of jumped up on me for a little bit there. But and this will also be not only his first win of 2020, but his first win with the new crew chief. So, yeah, that's my picks.
That leaves me up. Well, my pick for tonight is not Tyler Reddick, though I do think he'll run well. My pick for tonight is somebody who couldn't get the proper track position, but he was up front for most of the race. We talked about him for a bit. He's had a really good week so far. He's been really fast all year round, and he showed a lot of speed. He might have arguably had the best car at Darlington on Sunday. And I'm going to run with the meme. Since Danny's not here, I'm picking Alex Bowman.
I knew it.
I think Bowman. So I agree with you, Wayne Montgomery. I think Bowman will win. I saw Danny put that. And then for Sunday, you talk about veterans. Well, I was looking at some of the ones that are in there, and all of them are pretty good at Charlotte. The older veterans. That's what I'm going with. I'm going with a young pick for tonight, but an older pick for Sunday. And for me, I think it's, you know, I got a feeling, man. Hendrick's doing a lot better. He ran really well. He's been running faster all year. Hasn't been the top Hendrick car, but I think in that nice Army throwback kind of almost camo scheme, I think Jimmy Johnson is going to win on Sunday. And if he wins, I think I'm going to rejoice and like everybody else and be really happy. So Jimmy, big Jimmy is going to win. He's going to get that golden horseshoe again.
That would be the perfect final win for his career, the perfect send-off right there.
So you 100% agree with Wayne Montgomery's super chat, picking Bowman and then Jimmy. So thank you for that super chat, Wayne.
I'm going to go for winning tonight. This is going to surprise a lot of people and it'd be a heck of a story. Ryan Newman, starting sixth.
That would be awesome.
His best
it's
track.
only a 300. It's only a 300 and something mile race. The first 300 miles the other night, he was really good. Went from 21st up to top 10. Looked pretty good starting sixth. I think he can get it done. And if not, then oh well. I tried.
Always next race.
Dude's harder to pass than a kidney stone. So if he gets the lead, he's not going to.
Well, especially at Darlington where there's no other groove to really do anything. So I think he can block.
And sure. Darlington just so happens to be statistically his best track in terms of average finishes. So
for sure.
Yeah.
As far as Coke 600, I'm going to go Brad Keselowski. I think he'll get the Coke 600.
Isn't that the only race that Miller Lite's going to be sponsoring his car this year too?
That is.
Yep.
I think so. It's the primary.
Oh, that would be perfect.
That's
that would
right.
be perfect.
That's cool.
I kind of hope he does, but is it the red, white, and blue one he always has, or just the normal Miller Lite scheme?
Yeah, it'll be the red, white, blue stripe down the side of the car there. Yeah.
All right.
I like that one.
That's cool.
Classic.
For
tonight, I'm going to side with you, Jarrett. I think Alex Bowman wins. Came up just one spot short on Sunday. I do think arguably his biggest challenges are going to come from his teammates. I think Byron will be fast. I think Jimmy will be fast again. I think Harvick will be good. He's running the same car, but it's going to be a completely different racetrack. It's going to be cooler temperatures. It's going to be the night green racetrack with all the rain. It sounds like it's practically flooded any rubber that might have still been on the track off of it by now. So it's going to be a different racetrack. So I don't think that same car is necessarily going to have the same speed. So I think Alex Bowman's a good pick. He's been good all year long. And then for Charlotte, for the Coke 600, I think that one's much more wide open in a sense. I don't think I mean, we saw it last year with this rules package with guys like Corey LaJoie almost getting a top 10 and other drivers up in that top 15, top 10 that normally aren't there. That being said, I do think Ryan Blaney will get the win because he was super fast at both Auto Club and Las Vegas at the beginning of this year. Penske as a team was really fast at the beginning of the year. Blaney was a little sluggish the other night, which I was a little surprised to see, but Darlington's kind of its own thing. It's kind of a different animal. So I'll take this as a one-off. I think they'll figure it out by Charlotte, and I think Blaney gets the win, which could easily be his second win of the year by now, but it is what it is.
You mean
Sorry, Danny B in the chat is saying that Bowman's going to win every race the rest of the season.
All right.
We can skip over him all the rest of the year for picks.
Skip over it, yeah, might as well.
We know who he's picking.
Well, shoot. So we've gone through all the picks and everything. Do we want to take one final look at the weather, Jarrett, or has anything changed for tonight?
I will. I'll go and I'll refresh it really quick.
I think we're at 48.5%.
48.5. Damn, we dropped it a little bit.
I'll go for 48.7.
That's not bad.
Let's see what we got. I'm just waiting for it to load up here. They updated it. Ooh, that's not good.
Oh no! What is it? What is it?
We're now at the next 3 hours for a 70% chance of thunderstorms. 7 and 8 and 9 o'clock still at now 45%. No, with a and it says cloud. But
it was so good.
They were so confident.
1% increase.
Yeah. They were so confident with that 49% earlier.
I know.
I would kill that 48% now. 48.5 now. Yeah.
Not what we wanted to hear, unfortunately. But
and why couldn't we have had 69% this time?
I know.
Might as well. You know. But hey, guys.
Nice.
But hey, guys, if they race, they race. Oh well. You know, if they don't, then we'll watch them later. There's going to be a ton of racing for.
It'll happen at some point.
Yeah, it'll happen.
Yeah, there's more NASCAR races this week than your baseball team plays in the middle of the summer, and that's pretty remarkable.
Yeah, I mean, watching NASCAR like this now, it reminds me of watching basketball. It's like, hey, if your driver loses, okay, he can win again on Sunday.
Really quick, Bob Pockerson put this out last night, I believe, that if the Cup race is rained out tonight, then 7 p.m. start time tomorrow.
Okay, see if we can make it up tomorrow. So we'll have a double whammy tomorrow.
If it's not raining.
Yeah, if there's no
rain.
But
they will also rain tomorrow too.
they're also open to having a Friday night race.
Just the plus of them running all these races so close to home is, the drivers maybe put a lot of miles on their trucks and everything, but it's going to be
wait a minute, Eric, you said there's a chance of rain tomorrow too?
Oh yeah, there's a chance of rain.
What
tomorrow.
the hell, man? Damn, it's the worst week. This is bad. Is it gonna rain all week in Darlington? Jeez.
Well, they got that. Wasn't that like a tropical storm?
Tropical storm Arthur, yeah.
Yeah, just off the coast of the Carolinas. That's giving them some of this rain. That's what it is.
Oh, damn. Okay, well, stay away.
Mother Nature hates us.
I know,
yeah, pretty much.
And then 5 Points Vids was like, "Oh, just race in the rain, guys." I'm like, no, that's not how it works. 5 points, but
that blue emu sign will be torn off lap 0
basically,
in the rain
on an oval, especially.
Rain tires.
They'll make as many laps as Stenhouse made on Sunday.
Yeah, they're gonna call the race the first one to get back to the starter stand.
Second turn, first one to get
Watch,
to turn
Stenhouse
2
is the only one that makes it.
He's starting in the back. He just stops. And everyone wrecks in front of him.
So real quick, I guess I can read off.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I could read off who we got on next week if you want.
Oh yeah. Start promoting next week.
So the race next week is supposed to start on Wednesday again at 6 p.m. Eastern time. So the podcast will be at around 4 p.m. Eastern time. We'll iron that out as we go. My channel, and then we got 3 guests on next week. So we got a buddy of ours who helps us out a lot from NASCAR, Matt Stalnick, who's going to be talking about the NASCAR side of what all this has been going on. We're going to have Moonhead on for Moon Vision. That's going to be funny. And then we got Cody H Gaming. He'll be on the show next week, which means that I have to deck myself out completely in Vikings gear to cancel out the Packerness.
Oh, Jared, you didn't see the peace tree, did you? Between him and Sloppy, they had lunch today, and Moonhead literally printed out some sort of peace tree and Sloppy signed it for fun, dude. So that's what I'm saying.
Well, that's
man.
good. That's good.
All of the little beefs that take place here, they always get squashed all the time. So
we all love each other.
Yeah, we all love each other.
We all love each other.
Yeah, that's what it's all about, man. But I had to point that out. That was pretty funny.
It's gonna be a fun show next week.
Especially when oh my god.
And we're leading into the Charlotte race too.
If you have ever heard Moonhead's commentating, oh my god, go subscribe to his channel immediately. He only has like what 1.7 thousand subscribers. He deserves way more. So go sub to his channel and give him a look.
I was in his invitational race the other night.
Oh, that's right, you were. Oh yeah, he gave a funny little intro during the starting lineup. I think he said something funny about you, or I can't remember, but it was funny though.
What was it? It was the access road is legal on the last lap.
Yeah, something like that. I don't know, something like that.
And it finished in 6 1,000ths of a second. That was the cool part too.
That was.
Yeah.
That was funny.
Cool. Well, great episode planned for next week. A great episode here tonight. We had one last super chat from GN. He sent $2 and said, "Does DiBenedetto get a win this year? Thoughts?" I think he probably does.
Yeah, he gets one.
Running well.
Yeah, it's time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I could see it on a road course too. He's really good there.
Road course or Bristol, of course. Circle Bristol on the calendar. But yeah, so I think is that going to do it? I think if we hit all the bases we needed to cover,
I believe so. I really believe so.
Other than knock on wood racing tonight, I think we have.
Yeah.
As a NASCAR commercial pops up right now on FS1.
Yeah. We have a 30% chance.
Hopefully we get some racing in tonight. If not, we'll have to watch it tomorrow, and we'll see more racing on Sunday or Friday.
Or Saturday.
Basically.
Or Sunday.
Sunday. Yeah.
Racing
play it by
galore.
ear. Basically play it by ear. So appreciate you guys watching the pre-race show. And is it about time for the Dale call?
Well,
I think so. Before we go, I want to give Toby a chance to shout out his Twitter. I got your website. I think I'd have it on this one now that we had to restart it, but I have your website down in the description, so people definitely check out TobyChristie.com. But where else can people find you, man?
Yeah, you can follow me on Twitter at Toby_Christie. I'm also on YouTube. I don't do much yet, so I'm still kind of building that.
Keyword yet.
Yeah, so that's a work in progress. But yeah, usually at the Twitter is where you can find me, Toby_Christie. Awesome.
Well, thanks for coming on tonight. It was a lot of fun having you, man. We'll have to do this again.
Thanks for having me on, guys. It's been a blast.
Yeah.
Sweet deal. But yeah, I guess that is basically it, Darian. I think we've hit everything.
Okay, so you know what time it is. Oh wait, who has the Dale
call?
call?
Shoot! I forgot. Oh
yeah, that's right. Eric has the Dale call this time. I was about to say Jarrett, but then no, Eric does.
I wasn't on the podcast for a few weeks, so I don't remember where this tradition started of Jarrett always using his Dale call.
I believe the first episode of season 3 is when it started, didn't it?
Oh, maybe I was there then. I don't
believe
remember.
So, maybe I don't know.
But Jarrett doesn't have his with him today. But luckily, I bailed him out. I got a Dale call here, so we're gonna call on Dale to scare the rain away, and we're gonna leave you guys with this. Thank you all for tuning in tonight. Great crowd. Great to have the podcast back on this channel again. We'll have to do this again very, very soon. But yeah, everyone take it easy. Enjoy the race tonight if it happens. Hopefully it happens. Keep those fingers
Hopefully we can
crossed.
get that vortex going at least.
That vortex.
All right, this is the vortex theory call. Thanks for watching, everybody. Cover your ears.